Yeah, that's always a tough one. But I really do feel that if there is passion behind it, then you can do it, and you even should do it.
Hey guys, if you're like me, you've always had a desire to do more. And deep inside, you've known there's a way and a possibility for you to achieve your dreams, the lifestyle, and achieve the freedom you've always wanted. Because we have what it takes to get things done and learn from others and get the mindset to achieve the dreams we've always wanted. Welcome to SB Warriors. Hey, what's up, SB Warriors? Today I'm interviewing Nena Soto. She is a owner and a business owner of an insurance company. Nena, why don't you go ahead? I'll let you talk a little bit about yourself, and thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. So, like Paul said, I'm Nena Soto. I am a State Farm agent. I own an agency in Whittier, California. The address is 11331 Lamrata Boulevard. And I have been an agency owner for 5 years.
So you've been in the insurance business you've owned the business for 5 years, but you've been in the business for a while.
Yeah, like over 18 years.
And so, yeah, so how'd you first get into the business, and then how'd you transition into actual ownership?
So it was not my plan to be an insurance agent when I was 19 years old. I literally just needed insurance. One day I walked into my local State Farm office at the time and just became really good friends with the staff. The staff was super friendly. And eventually they offered me a job. So I wasn't even looking for work at the time either, but they were pretty persistent and thought that I would be a great fit for their office. And so eventually I went for it and got my licensing. So there's state licensing required. Got that done and started the job, and gosh, never left. Kind of liked it.
Was it hard to transition from actually being an employee to, hey, I actually want to become a business owner? Like, was that something that you put in yourself, or was that something like, how did you start to realize, I want to do more?
So I think it was a bit of both. It took time because I was young. So I was getting through my 20s. I was going to school. I was working full time, doing the insurance job. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't think it was going to be insurance. In fact, in college, I took a bunch of early education classes for childhood. So I thought I was going to be a teacher. And that kind of was my track, right, for education. But slowly it changed, and eventually with good mentorship too. So I think I attribute a lot of that to just having good leadership at the time.
Okay.
It took me 10 years to decide, you know what, I think I can do this for myself. I'm going to give it a shot and I'm going to try it. So I was in my role for 10 years as support sales staff.
Okay.
And I finally just realized that I could do this for myself.
And was it more economic based? Was it freedom based? Like, what was kind of some of the motivation factors that you were considering?
Definitely freedom, definitely the ability to be my own boss. And for most small business owners, people that are self-employed, I think that's what drives us, right?
Yeah.
Just that freedom. Eventually knowing that I would have financial freedom associated with that. So freedom in terms of like being able to make up my own schedule and knowing that I could balance motherhood, marriage, family, all of those things, and be a business owner. So that was attractive to me.
So
financial freedom would follow.
To make that transition, you had your firstborn at that time, right?
Yes, it was good times. It was fun. So I launched a business while I was pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah, a few times. So trust me, it's possible. But yeah, so that was probably the most challenging thing. My husband and I got married. Then I decided to go ahead and start the transition to being my own business owner. I became pregnant and was doing my internship during my pregnancy, and then had a few more kids after that too. But yeah, quite challenging.
Was it hard? What was it like emotionally to go through that process? And did your husband, was he already supportive of the whole venture during this?
Absolutely. That is one huge thing. I think for anyone going to business for themselves is having that support system in advance and getting that buy-in from your significant other. So that was the first thing actually that was established. Obviously my wanting to do it was important, but having the support was just as important.
I'm sure you had moments of doubt though, because like
Yeah.
you look so you look so well put together. Everything looks like you're just like you're in super control. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that's the impression. But like if you share with us, like what was one of the most challenging days that you had that you were like, I don't know if I can do this?
Gosh, I've had a lot of those days, a lot of challenging days, but I would probably say when the toughest part of my career has been building my book of business, because no one just gave me a book of business and said, here, have fun, take it from there. I actually started my business scratch, no customers, zero customers. So, but I was also pregnant at the same time. So to build my book of business, I had to major hustle. So I participated in pretty much any community event that was available. I was there. So I just remember crazy days where I'm like dragging my tent and the table and the chairs, and I'm like 8 months pregnant in the mud, in the rain. I'm like, oh my God, this is so hard. But you get through it. Now, like I laugh about it. And, Fabio and I started with my husband, but we just talk about those challenging times. Like, remember that one time? But you got great leads out of it. You walked away with 100 leads or whatever. And those customers are still my customers today. So there's a lot of challenging moments, trust me.
Interesting business model, because there's insurance is mandated for driving, and then there's so many different things of insurance, and it's just like, how do you not commoditize and like where you guys are just racing to the bottom to get that competition?
Right. So, and that is as I train my staff now, that is the one thing that we train consistently on, is that we're just the conversations that we have with our customers are built on relationships and value,
Yep.
not on price. The company that I represent, I'm very fortunate to represent State Farm, because we are the number one insurance company in the nation for auto, home, and now even individual life insurance policies. So that sells itself. Strong brand sells itself, but it's not about price for us. And so with that, we have to really, we have to focus really hard on the value of what we have to offer as an agency versus, Geico or the other competitors that don't have what we have. So there's just a lot of value in what we do.
And what I find interesting about a lot of people may not know is you were going to school, working full time, and you were actually working to get your citizenship in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's right.
And somehow you became this entrepreneur that is doing really well. I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who have well more financial means than you must have had, especially if you're not a citizen in this country. And like, to take from where you are to here,
Mm-hmm.
like what would you say is like some of the biggest takeaways that you had to kind of do to get your mind to go, and I can actually do this? Because I would think a lot of people can't think they can do it.
Yeah, I know. And that's my heart is with everybody who really has that in them, where they want to do something for themselves, and there's these like roadblocks, right? Because I was actually very fortunate, Paul. My mom brought us here when we were very little, me and my siblings. But that was in the early 80s. So things were different then than they are now, not to get, all political or anything. But the point being that it is harder for someone in my position now to do what I'm doing than it was for me getting my, residency first, right?
Yeah.
And then citizenship next. The process is different. So I'm very, very blessed and fortunate that I guess timing worked out in my favor. And it's just not the case for other people now. But
kind of like the timing aspect of it.
Yeah. But I mean, I had a vision. I wanted to do more, and I just kind of wasn't going to let anything stop me. That's for sure.
So where did that come from?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think I see it around me. Even in family members, they're small business owners. I have aunts and uncles that have really worked for themselves for a long time.
So you were never raised with the idea like you should get a good job and stick with that job till you get a retirement?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, it was just work hard. Whatever you do, work hard at what you do. And just, you were just not quitters, not wired that way. I don't know.
And right now your business model is, I'm sorry?
There's just no quitting.
See, where does that come from? Like you see so many people are like, oh, and they're struggling, whether it's a business or whether it's an idea, and some people never take that action. And that's like, is it just, do you read a lot of books? Do you do a lot of self-help? Like, what do you do?
I do actually, but I think it's more myself and just not wanting to fail and just continuing to apply pressure on myself, and just not getting to the point of the fear of failure, I guess you can say. I just, it's a big thing for me. And not to say that I haven't failed in things, I have, but you learn from them and you move on. But right now, what I'm in now, I'm going to do everything possible um, you know, before I don't.
So it's like it's like the only thing you can do is win. It's like, you're not going to, even
Right.
your failures are part of your success story.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Anything that really stood out, like you're like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe, like opening up because a lot of people don't realize when you start a business, especially a brick and mortar, you have to get a lease, and that's an overhead. Then you have to get employees. That's another overhead. And I don't think a lot of times people realize how much you actually have to put into it. And
Absolutely.
so now your monthly overhead is another thing you have to be concerned about.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think in any business, there are startup expenses. It's a major financial commitment. I'm in a position now where I'm able to mentor people who want to do what I do. And I have a few people that I'm mentoring currently, and that is one topic of conversation that I always want to be very transparent about. That it may be, and people have told me this, that I do make it look easy, that it's attainable, that it's what I do, they want to do too. And I love that, because it means I'm actually somehow encouraging other people to do this, and I'm more than happy to do that. But the reality is that there is a lot of commitment that goes into it, and the person really needs to be financially sound and financially ready. And that took me 10 years. That took me a long time to do. So it's a lot of saving. It's a lot of missed coffees at Starbucks.
Stop.
Hey, that's one thing. I mean, those Starbucks, they add up. I just brew my own coffee and maybe didn't take a few of those trips I wanted to take, Yeah, a lot of
Transition to where you were like struggling, not knowing how things were going to happen financially. And what was it? How long was that period for?
um yeah, probably where I knew I wanted to do it and wasn't able to do it financially, probably 5 years. But I started a plan, a financial, just a financial plan, put money in different places, watched it grow. And then when I was ready to do that, and this included purchasing a house and, at the right time, and being able to take some equity from here, from these mutual funds, and even life insurance, cash value. I used it all until I felt like I was ready and able to move forward.
And that was a 5-year process.
That was a 5-year process.
I got to say, most people would not even last a year to go, I'm going to try to do this to get my dream.
I know.
So
Yeah, that's true. That's why I really like to mentor people in that process.
yeah,
Help them figure out, okay, well, what's your time frame here? How much do you have now? How much do you need to have? How long is it going to take us to get there? And figure out a financial plan. It's
so
important.
this may seem like a weird question, but how did you paint that picture of what your future was actually going to look like so you knew what you were shooting for?
Well, I knew early on I was going to be broke.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, early on, the first couple of years, and I benchmarked too, and I would talk to agents that are doing what I do, but with more time, more experience. And I would sit and ask them all these questions, as much as they were willing to share with me about their finances and about their challenges, their struggles. And that's really how I did my research and came up with what it was going to look like for me, what I needed to sell, how much overhead I could afford, how much I can pump into marketing. Like I'm getting real business techie right now, but all of those factors, I researched before I actually took the plunge.
So is that
That's how I knew.
is that available? Like, say somebody who's like, hey, I'm looking to do this. Like, do they know like, hey, this is what an average owner would make? So, oh, is that okay? So
It's available if you ask. And that's what I did. I sat with several different people and I asked them those specific questions. And some people were very forthcoming about sharing and others were not, and that's okay. But I needed to know and figure that out for myself. And everyone's different. Everyone's business is different. Even where you do business is different. Orange County has some differences than LA County, Riverside County. So all of those factors really matter. But that's how I developed my business plan and also my financial strategy, and really talking to other people.
and so with the people you're mentoring now, what's kind of like the biggest takeaway that you kind of say, like, you have to do this in order to get to where they were trying to get to in the future? Like, what do you kind of recommend for them?
Well, definitely, again, I mean, it all comes down to the financial planning, making sure you're not gonna, you're not gonna lose the roof over your head if you venture into this business. And if you are, be prepared for that. And then the second thing is really learning how to lead.
How do you prepare to lose the roof over your head, Nina?
Anything can happen. And I'll tell you, I've met people that said, I had to sell my house to make this business work. Like, wow, that's crazy. But this is somebody that knew that potentially could happen. He didn't want it to happen, but it ended up happening. And now he has a big old house in Huntington Beach and never looked back. So you make sacrifices, a lot of sacrifices.
So do you believe success leaves clues and there's a path to follow?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and so somebody who's looking to kind of start something, what would you recommend that path of like getting started, especially in getting their mind right for focusing for their future?
Well, I feel a lot of research goes into it. And sometimes when I talk to somebody that wants to start a business, they haven't done the research. I work with a lot of small business owners that open their stores, have a bakery, have an ice cream shop, have, this and that, but don't have a tax person. They don't have an HR representative. They don't have the proper insurance in place. They don't have all these other things that are so critical to a business. So those are some of the foundational things that you need to know, or at very least hire a specialist that's going to do that work for you.
Okay.
Before you open a business. Once you're in it, it's just, you don't have, for example, workers' comp insurance. A lot of my small business owners have employees, but they don't have workers' comp insurance. One, it's a huge fine by the state of California to not have workers' comp insurance. And two, you're liable. If your employee gets injured on your dime, they're going to sue you. So there is just so much to lose when you don't reach out to the specialist, when you don't have do your research and have all your ducks in a row. So definitely getting all in order is so critical. But the research, taking some leadership classes.
Have you always been so analytical? It's like it's X plus, like, did you have to kind of force yourself to become that way?
I had to force myself to become that way. Absolutely. I think I've always wanted to do things the right way and have as much information as I possibly can. But in terms of being analytical, I would say my first years of business, that's when I understood so much more, like return on investment, short term, long term, all of these things.
So I got an issue with your business because I love marketing and stuff like that. And one of the things I go is, how do you make insurance sexy? Because it
social media.
Well, it's still not like it's not, you know what I mean? It's not like this thing like, oh, everybody's running to get a new insurance policy plan. Like, how do you bring them education wise to go, hey, like, and so people understand the value, like this is what they need.
That's actually really hard. And I'm willing to take advice on that because I still struggle with that. Insurance is just one of those things that it's like, you introduce yourself to somebody and it's like, I don't even like to say I'm an insurance agent because I feel like the person checks out immediately. So I don't say I'm an insurance agent. I probably don't even give them my business card until they've gotten to know me a little bit better as a person, as a community member, as a mother, that goes to the same parks that they go to. And, just on a, not so much on a professional level. I think that is the key, and that people like you, they'll do business with you. And that's, whether you're selling a sexy, shirt at a beautiful boutique or car insurance.
Well, the good thing is you have a demand of people who have to have your services. That's the pro. The con is that you're competing with a big pool, and so to pull those people away. I personally, so full disclosure, Nena is my agent, and so I remember a story where you had helped us with when we got sideswiped in the parked car, and so we just had to go through the process. And you made it seem so hands-free, so easy, that we appreciated what you did. So it's like, to me, it's like, okay, now I feel endeared to where I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave, because even if price is an issue.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's exactly what separates us from the competition. It's not just here, call an 800 number, tell them what happened. We walk you through the whole process, because at the end of the day, it's you're obviously a close friend, but it could be someone's grandma. It could be someone's sister. These are important people to me. And I know my customers, I know them all very well. And I want to be able to help them and hold their hand through the process, so that they feel like this is the value of my agent. This is why I'm not with, other carriers.
But so you've had that. I mean, just your journey, you're a very personable person. How do you relate that to your staff though? Because
yes,
you can't be there 24 hours a day to make sure your staff's picking up the phone and talking with a smile. A lot of things that I always say, like, the energy you give off, people do receive it, even if it's through a phone or direct communication.
Yes. And that's actually probably the hardest part of the job, is keeping myself motivated and motivating my team to always be happy, to always smile, to always, share that energy with our customers, that we're like truly, the best at customer care. Like, we focus and specialize on remarkable customer service. There's a lot of training that goes into that. I have daily huddles where we powwow, and really we could pick any topic to powwow about, but the whole point is to motivate each other, to share that energy. And it's not always easy to do that. There's days where I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to clear payroll? But somehow I'm going to pay you all, but you just get through it, because you have to. You can't have a bad attitude about anything, but your team's always watching. And when you're happy, it, feeds onto them. The hard part is when someone in your office, in your business, is just not on board. That's always the hard part, because I just don't have much tolerance for people not being on board.
Yeah. It's like hiring that right person for your office can have a huge positive effect or a negative effect depending on who you hire.
Absolutely. Everyone that works in my agency is an extension of me, right? And my values and everything that I want to put out there in the community. So when someone just doesn't fit that model, it's very, very difficult. That's probably been the hardest part of my job, is letting people know they're not fitting the model.
Well, I'm a big sales funnel person, and at some point, if you want, we could chat about that, but you have it in an offline space. I tend to do it on the online space. And so, but if you ever want, I'll extend the opportunity if you guys ever want to talk about that. And is there anything that, if somebody's brand new, who's thinking about starting, what they want a business, they want some of the freedom, what would you recommend, like the one thing you have to do?
The one thing you have to do, I mean, is be authentic. Always, I feel, be authentic and true about your intentions, about your motivation, about your passion. And I think that when you're authentic, people see that, And naturally, all things will fall into place. Not just your customers will see it, but the people that you hire, that you employ, your business partners, everybody will see authentic behavior. And I think that speaks volumes.
And you say that the vehicle, you're in the vehicle of insurance. And
Mhm.
do you believe that most people would say insurance is a good vehicle to take? Or would you, because there's so many different vehicles you can take from franchises to starting something online. You like, how would you take somebody who's young? Because you also house foreign exchange students occasionally, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you mentor them as well. Like,
Yeah.
how do you tell a person what, hey, what you should take this vehicle or consider this one, or just listen to their passions?
What do you mean by vehicle?
So vehicles are terms to get you from A to B, and so yours is
Uh-huh.
a State Farm.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure other people have different ideas, like, oh, I'm gonna open a garage, whatever.
Right.
And if you're young or even if you're old, it doesn't matter what age you are, you're still sometimes not sure, like, is this the right vehicle for me for that path?
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a tough one. But I really do feel that if there is passion behind it, then you can do it, and you even should do it. If you don't have passion and you know absolutely nothing about that business, it's going to be really, really difficult. I have known people to have started in the insurance industry, as an example, of course, because it's pretty much all I know. That
It's okay.
someone told them it was a great gig, and someone told them they should do it, but they didn't have the passion. They didn't even believe in the brand, and they didn't believe in themselves. And so a person like that is clearly not going to make it because they're missing huge components of what it takes to be a business owner. And you have to have passion, and you have to believe in what you're doing. So those two things are critical for, regardless of what age you are and what industry you're going into. Be passionate about it, and want to do it. Know what it's about.
Do you say you're passionate about helping people, or you're passionate about the services you provide?
On the services you provide and whatever it is you're representing. So if it's opening up a auto body mechanic shop, be passionate about being a mechanic, helping people with their cars.
Okay,
You
so
know,
it's kind of like the cross pollination of the two. Where I
yes.
think a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm super passionate about raising kids, but then would you turn it into a business? You know what I mean? Like, it, you
Yeah.
because you can't unless you create something. But no, I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, no, exactly. There's got to be like a major motivation behind it that drives you.
And your major motivation right now is?
Oh, it's financial freedom for my family. It really is. It's, there's a lot of things, of course. I love, love, love to help people. Anything I can do to help people, whether it's, through, insurance and, financial literacy, or even just somebody in need. Like, I'm all about that. And I love to give. But at the same time, I also want my family to be okay. And I want my family to have financial freedom, and us to be, happy, everyone to be happy.
Well, like I say, you make it look easy. You're a mother of three. You own a business. I think a lot of times people don't realize what you actually go through to do what you do, to have what you have. So at some point, I'm sure some moms may reach out to you and kind of like pick your brain. Hopefully this interview may help them, inspire somebody to take some action. Anything that you would recommend, like something you must do in the morning, or recommend, like, to get your mind right, to get your, whether it's the workout, whether it's the reading book, podcast, like, what do you recommend? Like, the one thing that you would suggest for somebody?
Yeah, I'm totally still working on that. But in the mornings, I spend time with my kids. That's my little morning thing. I love to cuddle with my kids in bed, and know that I can spend a few more hours, because they're going to grow up and get big and not want to do that with me anymore. And that's going to be sad. But for me, it literally is just time with my kids. But yeah, I mean, I listen to podcasts as well. I kind of like alone time. I kind of like silence, because once I get started in the office, there's no silence. I'm, pulled in all different directions. And, once the kids come home from school, there's definitely no silence. So sometimes in the morning, I just like a little bit of, prayer and meditation, and just like silence. Silence is beautiful.
I actually probably could benefit from the meditation side and the silence. So yeah, it's a good reminder. Any final words that you'd like to add, or anything that you think is something that somebody definitely needs to do?
Well, not really, but if anybody listening would like to reach out to me, ask me any questions. Like I said, I love to mentor other people in doing what I do. So someone out there has any questions?
And how do we get a hold of you?
So you can call me. So 562-652-0445, or you can find me on Instagram, Nena Mendoza Soto, or you can email me, nenasoto@me.com, NENASOTO@me.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can Yelp me. You can Google me. If you Yelp me, drop me a 5-star review. No, I'm playing.
And you're in Whittier. Your agency's in Whittier, and so your goal is, I'm sure, to help families and business owners in Whittier understand what they're doing. So,
absolutely,
I would encourage you to reach out more. This is, I gotta say, this is a little bit of a stretch for you, huh? Out of your comfort zone.
Totally. Yeah. Paul knows that I'm not a video, webby person.
But I really appreciate it. But I think this gives people a better sense about you, and I really believe in that. That's part of, like,
my cheeks aren't this big; it's the camera.
You look great.
No, really.
All right. So, ASB Warriors, if you have any questions for Nena, reach out to her. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Nena Soto State Farm, and I think she's a great resource. And again, thanks for listening. If you have any questions, you can leave them below, and either her or I will get back to you. Thanks a lot. Hey, SB Warriors, thanks for listening to today's podcast. If you'd like to get more information how you can grow your business, we have a free book at sbwarriors.com. Click on the free book offer. It's an advertising blueprint for small business owners to help get their business to the next level. Also, if you like this podcast, we ask that you give feedback on iTunes, rate it so we can help get out the message to more business owners just like you. Have a great day, and thanks for listening. See you next time.